Hello everybody and welcome to Wesley's Plant World with me, Wesley Peterson, and today we are out in the area of my garden called the Courtyard Garden here at Crystal Cottage because I want to do some work on the two borders on both sides of the doors of my annex behind me here because I want to do a little bit of a change up and I want to take you along for the process. Now, before I start all that, I just want to give a huge shout out and thank you to all of you 8,000 plus subscribers because you have helped me to grow my channel, and now I have reached over 8,000 subscribers. It's made me so happy. I can't hardly believe it. Me making my amateur style videos of me doing stuff in my own private garden here and just taking you along for the ride here and there. And knowing that you're enjoying it and subscribing to my channel makes me really, really happy. I just do this because I just really enjoy what I'm doing and I just want to share and encourage other people to do the same in whichever circumstance you have with your plants. Now, you know I love house plants and garden plants, and for the longest time now, I've been concentrating on videos with my garden. And well, I work as a gardener now. I did my studies as a master gardener and I completed that in 2022. And now I'm just enjoying life, working outdoors with these beautiful, beautiful beings, all of these plants that are all living beings doing their own thing, and they just fill my life with so much joy that I just want to share this with all of you so that those of you that already do this can get some new ideas, tips and tricks, and those of you that haven't started or don't have the opportunity to garden and so forth still get the enjoyment and benefit of seeing someone else doing this, and you're still filling your home space with greenness and joy because you're seeing it through your TV screen, your telephone, your tablet, whatever. It's just a way of getting people in touch with some kind of green area to bring joy to your life. So I'm really, really thankful for all of you that take the time, the few seconds it takes to just click that button and subscribe to my videos to help me grow my channel. Thank you so, so much. Anyway, I want to get on with this video. I have a few different plants in these borders. Behind me you can see these lovely taller plants here, these ferns. These are commonly known as the lady fern, and their scientific name is Ethereum Filix femina. They're an absolutely beautiful deciduous fern, and well, it's late August here where I live, and this actually is the beginning of autumn. The trees here are already turning yellow and orange, and my lady ferns are starting to brown out and go over, and they will disappear completely for the winter time. So in these borders I wanted to plant out some evergreen plants because this area is going to be, well, just evergreen plants for many, many months. The other plants I have going on in here are, I have some boxwoods down here at the front. These are Buxus sempervirens, and then in the middle of the borders I have two Prunus laurocerasus, the cherry laurel, which were some bushes that I had that were bigger and they kept struggling and yellowing out and dropping their leaves, and I tried to put them in different areas of my garden and they bounced back every summer, and then they started failing every year again when the springtime came, when they were getting too much of the early springtime sunshine on them before the canopies of the trees grew out to shade them out because they really didn't like the direct sun. But at the same time, I think they've had a really hard time with our harsh winters of down to -16 degrees Celsius. So I've had to prune them back. And again this year, they have bounced out and started growing back as lower bushes in these borders. And I've decided I want to keep them like that now. So that's fine with me. If they can manage to grow up a bit bigger in these borders, then I'll let them, but I don't want anything getting too high so that they're in front of the windows, of course. These Ethereum Filix femina are the only plants that I want to get around this height, and they're not blocking out the light from inside. They actually look wonderful in front of the windows. Down in front of those plants, I have another plant that is actually evergreen, and that is Heuchera Paris. Now, I want to switch these borders up because the Heuchera Paris at the front is growing back now. It's bouncing back. It's looking good. These were quite tall and looking very nice when I first planted them out here as cuttings from other plants I had. And then the deer that wander through our courtyard garden here, especially during the winter time, looking for things to graze on and eat, munch them down so that there is hardly anything left. So they get mown down and then they fight back every single season. And I've got fed up of them just being small like this, starting to get their flowers out, and then all their flowers, their lovely pink flowers they just get eaten off them during the summertime as well. So I've decided I want to take those up and I want to plant them in another area of my garden where I know the deer won't go in and eat them, and that is in Joachim's Corner, because these are shade-loving plants. Joachim's Corner is the northern facing border of my garden, so these plants will be fantastic there. So my idea is I have these two balls of Buxus sempervirens in these borders that are growing out really, really well. They are also plants that I planted here because they were struggling in another area of my garden and browning out. And now here they have just come back and flushed out, green and beautiful, and grown double as big. So they're very happy here in these very, very shady borders that only get a tiny amount of direct sunlight in the late evening just before the sun goes down. So they've done really, really well. So what I'm going to do is I want to show you that you can actually go in, and instead of keeping these as just two balls on each side, I'm going to actually prune them so that I take them apart. I'm going to deconstruct them, and I'm going to create a little Buxus sempervirens hedge, a very low growing hedge all the way around these two borders out of these two balls, because these plants work so well as cuttings. So yes, you can just go in and chop up these balls and plant every single one of those stems in the ground, and they will flush out roots in no time. Now, I'm doing this in late autumn, and this shows you how these plants are very robust, because we're going to go into the colder nights right now here, and then it's going to be winter before we know it. So these cuttings may not even manage to grow out any roots until next spring. But the ground here is very moist. We've had a lot of rain. They will sit there and they will stay green as long as they're getting the moisture, and then they will flush out their roots and they will carry on growing. I know this works because I've done it before and it's nothing I fuss about. And to show you that, I'm going to show you now some other plants in my botanical garden that I've planted out and done the same thing with, so that you can see what I mean. And then I'm going to come here and just get on with this so you can see the transformation. So here we go in through the botanical garden, and these are some of the Buxus sempervirens that I have taken lots of cuttings from. And these were small plants I bought at a market in Malmö, and the last, I don't know, 5 years they've been growing out here, and I prune them back because I don't want them to become taller. I just want them to stay as a kind of informal hedge. So I haven't pruned them with shears to make them into a square box. I just wanted to take some of the stems off and let them still have this kind of rough look around the edge of this border. So I pruned those off, and then I carried on in my new extended areas of the border over here and placed them, as you can see down here, right along the edge. And I did this 2 weeks ago from now, and they are lovely and green and doing very, very well. So see here, I've done this all along the edge here, and these cuttings are looking absolutely amazing. And they go on and on and on all the way down to the end there. So just so you get more of a perspective here, there they are on the outer edge. So this is the idea that I am going to be carrying on with in the courtyard garden. At the same time, this is going to give me an opportunity to fill out these borders with a lot more soil, because I just want to elevate them so that the borders are higher than the stone border around the edge. And then my idea is that I want to actually, where I have my Buxus sempervirens, the main balls, which I'm going to take up, and whatever's left on those balls of stems and leaves, well, I can just take those up and I can plant them somewhere else in my garden, and they will just reflush out and become new plants of their own right. So that's not a problem. But I want to get hellebores to plant in these borders so that I get early flowering plants that love the deep shade and will do really, really well here and give me some flowers in the late winter, early spring season, and then carry on with their lovely leaves and so forth through the seasons. And yeah, that will be a nice combination, I think, with these lovely lady ferns and then with the evergreen hedge border around the front, so that I don't have to see everything being munched down every single year by the deer. So with that long introduction, I'm going to get on with this. As I always do, I'm just going to get in and do this in fast forwards. Take all of the Haucera, some people call them Heuchera, Paris, out of the front, put them in a crate, and then I will chop up all of my Buxus sempervirens and put those in a crate. And then what I do, and the only thing I do to help these is I don't just stick them straight in the ground. I could just do that and they probably would be fine, but I usually just score up the bottom of the stems just around 2 centimeters or so that I know that they can absorb as much moisture into the stems as possible. And then I will be digging up the main balls of those, taking those out. I will leave my Epherium Felix Femina as it is for now. I was thinking maybe as part of this I will just prune them down and take them away so that I can get the soil into here easier, just for me to be able to get in there. But I want to enjoy this look for a little bit longer because it's only a couple of weeks and then they will be gone anyway. And when I say gone, they will brown out, and then I will prune down all of their stems and just lay that directly on the ground so that it becomes a part of the soil system, gets broken down and becomes nutrients for the plants for the next season. I always use the chop and drop method as much as possible. I don't take things away from my borders. It's easier for me. It's much less work than having to take everything and put it in a compost container and so forth. And then I know that my plants are getting the goodness they'll need. It's all part of the natural cycle. So why take away what the plants are producing to give them what they'll need to boost them the next spring season when they start flushing out their new fronds, for example. So right, I've said enough. Let me get on with rearranging these borders. But before that, I'm just going to take you in for a quick closer look so you can see what they're like now, and then we can see what they're like later on. And then I'm just going to get straight into it. So here we go. Here's the first border. And you can see my lovely ferns that I've been getting taller and taller every season. They're just gorgeous, fluffy ferns that are native here in Sweden and grow everywhere, almost like weeds for certain people because they just come up everywhere. As you can see down here, examples of new plants coming up along the front of this border by themselves. So I'll just take those out and I'm going to plant those in my woodland area of my garden so nothing gets wasted. But down here you can see the Haucera Paris that I would take up, mixed with a few different wild plants, and I think that's absolutely fine. The only thing I don't like is what you can see down here, a lot of grass growing in amongst it because grass can take over. But anything else is okay, except also this. This is a shoot from a Populus tremula tree, the asp, and that I don't want coming up either. There's also one there. They come up everywhere. They need to be kept in control because they will just, well, if left to grow out a new forest. Here are my boxwoods that are going to be chopped up into lots and lots of little bits that are going to be perfect for the border edging. And then here is my cherry laurel that's doing absolutely fabulously now for me, after having been pruned right back to restart. You can see in the back there are some clover, absolutely fine that they grow there in the back, and then more of the plants that have reproduced themselves and so forth around the edge. So then we have the next border. Here we go. Same thing, same plants to give me symmetry on both sides of the annex door. And again, all doing fabulously in the same combinations. There we go, the same grass problem as well. So this is going to give me a chance to get in and remove some of that grass before I put in new soil. So this has been an absolutely fantastic combination. I love the wild look of it. Here we go, look at that. So these will transform quite a lot during this video. So now I really need to just get on with this. So quickly before I carry on, I just want to show you this beautiful Paris. As I said, these were cuttings that I put into the border, and well, they are lumps of plants that grow as a colony, and you can just split them apart and place every single piece in the ground and it will grow out a new plant. They get kind of long stems, underground stems and roots and so forth, and they split very easily by themselves. Beautiful leaves, look at the lovely colour on those. So I can easily reuse these somewhere else. I just need to get myself a container for all the grass and weeds that I want to take away that I can't replace back in the border because they have roots and they will just grow out again. But any leaves, for example, from dandelions and so forth that are in this border that I break off, well, they will be allowed to stay and keep the nutrients in the soil. So on this side of my border here, these fronds, oh, I'm sliding off this little rock here. These fronds have been in the way of the door of my annex for some time. They get broken every season, and I always say to myself I'm going to go in and prune them back, and well, I don't. I just let them kind of disintegrate until they get to the size that is permissible to be able to get in the door. But now I'm going to take these away for now, and I'm just going to lay them on the side because, of course, as I said before, I want to be able to replace those fronds back on the soil to become a natural source of nutrients for the plants that are going to be in the border. The grass I can just pull away, and it's coming up very easily actually. Just pull that away and remove that. So now, where do I have my little trowel to get these last halka? So now I have the Paris already excavated from that border. I'll continue taking out of here, removing fronds from these ferns that are in my way at the same time, just to make life easier for myself as I work. So something that I think is so fascinating is that my Ephoriophylix femina have produced lots of new young ferns that have grown out very quickly. Actually, I think these have been growing out 1 or 2 seasons. And you know, ferns reproduce with spores, and it's a whole unique and special way of reproduction. They don't produce any flowers and so forth. And well, I'll have to do a whole video at some point about how ferns reproduce, but basically they become another kind of plant, and there are male and female parts that can come together in the soil when it's moist and fertilize and become this younger plant, and then they turn into a fern afterwards and then start growing out their throngs like these plants are doing here. And it's just so amazing that these grew out from tiny, tiny spores and have become these lovely young plants that I can go and plant out in my woodland now. So that shows that my plants just are going to keep on giving this joy and lots of extra plants for me. So that's fantastic. So now I have all of my Hauchera Paris out, and I will just show you them in my crate here. A lovely big crate full that I can go and plant out in Joachim's corner, and I will really enjoy them growing out there where I know the deer aren't going to get to them, and enjoy them as they mound out bigger and get their lovely pink flowers, because they do really get the most gorgeous flowers, and their flower spikes can get to around 20 centimeters tall or so, and they're just gorgeous. So I will just put these out of frame for now. And then I also have Ethereum Filix femina that have come up from spores by themselves and produce me lots of lovely plants to plant out in my garden. I absolutely love ferns, so I don't say no when nature gives me a bounty like this. And then what I'm left with is my border. I'll just take these fronds and put them to the side for now until I need to use them to regenerate the soil. Now, as you can see, I've pulled some of my rocks here at the front to the side, and I'm going to do that with the rest because I'm going to fill up with more soil in here. So I want to be able to put these back around the edge afterwards. But for now, move them out so I can fill up with a lot of soil in here to lift these borders and also lift my rocks again from sinking, because with time, soil and rocks sink. They're heavy and they sink into the edge of the border. So now and again, you do need to lift them and add a little bit more soil and then place them back in front. So that's what I'm going to do now, because I do love my rock borders. They are so important to me. They really are. So I want to take them out like this, just so that I know I have the space to put the soil around the edge, and then I can repurpose them as I go. So, and I'm thinking, because I want to later on plant in these Helleborus, that the larger rocks that I put in the middle as a centerpiece, just to give me some focal point during the winter time while there's nothing else there, I can actually take away now, because I do have my Prunus laricerosus, the cherry laurel, here in the middle, and I'll have my evergreen miniature hedge around the front as well. So I'll roll those out, because then I can use those rocks somewhere else where I need rocks with a little bit more height. And actually, in fact, saying that, I'll just roll them to the front of these borders and use them there. So I have a higher rock in the front, in the middle, to give that elevation, because I'll have higher soil anyway. So that would just be perfect to do right here. And these are very big, heavy rocks. And I'm always breaking my back moving around rocks, because they are such an important integral part of the garden. They really give energy, focus, they heat up the border, they give protection, they give the biodiversity places to live and hide and enjoy life. and it keeps moisture in around the roots of the plants. So anyway, well, before I start putting the soil around the edge, I need to start pruning my boxwood balls. And I want to do this so that I get longer stems, because I don't want to start with tiny little miniature plants. I want them to be tall enough so that I can actually see that I have a hedge establishing around the edge already. And longer cuttings work just as well as smaller ones. Believe me, I've done it many times. I've also done a video where I showed you hardwood cuttings, long cuttings, some like this, that have roots on them, and I suggest that you go back and see that video so you can really see what I'm talking about, and you'll understand when you see, when I chop these up and just place them back in the ground, that, well, it just works. That's all I want to say. And I'm going to get myself so many plants by doing this, so it's so enjoyable as well, that I can get so much more bang for my buck. And I know the main root ball is just going to grow out like nothing happened again. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to take bits off, just like this, until I'm down to the root ball, and then I can take it up. Because this is going to, oh, this is going to be fantastic. These are the perfect height, all of these that I'm chopping off now. They've got lovely thick stems, which is perfect for starting a new miniature hedge. So I'm just going to get these chopped down and see what I get. So that's all I want to take off this one plant. I've left a few stems around the edge so that when I take the ball up and remove it and place it somewhere else to grow out again, it will have some leaves to be able to carry on photosynthesizing. But I'm not really worried so much about these main balls because I just want the cuttings. So if that manages to come back, it will just be a bonus, really. More of these fronds that are in the way, I'll just remove. So there we go. I have enough cuttings from this one plant, a little bit of greenness left for that plant to be able to carry on growing out. Let's get on with the next one. This one's lovely, lush and green, has lots of big, move this stone out of the way for a minute, has lots of big, long, green stems, which is perfect for me. See, my crate is starting to really fill up here. Lots of fabulous plants for me. So many that they're falling out of my crate now. This is amazing. Oh, I really can't keep them in the crate. That is amazing. Oh, okay, now you need to stop falling out. So, right, this plant, again, I'll leave that like that. And actually, the last plant hasn't grown out that much on it that I can use, really, I don't think. So I'm going to leave this last one kind of as it is and just move it somewhere else and let it carry on growing out. So have a look here. I'll just take a thick stemmed example to show you what I'm going to be working with. Now, I have myself a fabulous cutting here. Look how tall it is, look how beautiful it is. This is a good 40 centimeters long or so. Thick hardwood cutting, look at that. So what I do to help them, I could just put that in the ground like that, but then the plant will only have this tiny area at the bottom to suck up water. So what we do is you score up the edge for the first 2 centimeters or so. Now this might look like you're damaging the plant. Oh, I just got a piece in my eye. That wasn't good. 1 minute. But you're not. You just score up and you can see that there's a lot of moisture in underneath. Maybe I've done 4 centimeters here or so, it doesn't matter. As long as you open up a piece of the bottom here so that the plant can suck up moisture all the way up here to help support the rest of this, because what I don't do is go in and chop off the tops and prune back or anything like that. I like the rugged look as they're growing out, so I want them to carry on growing out as they are. And this plant, because it's going to be moist soil, it will be able to cope with supporting these leaves. So I'm not going to do anything with it. And if any of it does brown off, you can just go and prune off that, and the plant will show you how much it can support itself. That's the good thing about these. So I've got a whole crate full, as you can see. So I have plenty enough for this border and probably other borders. Now look at this. If I can keep them in the crate, because they just want to fall out everywhere. Look at this. It looks like I've been out shopping for a lot of Buxus sempervirens plants, but I haven't. I've just chopped up what I already have. Oh, this is so much fun. So much fun. Right, let's get these big root balls out of these borders now so I can start getting soil in there. And I have my spade on the ground just in front here. So this isn't going to take long. They usually don't have very big roots either. So I can easily and quickly pull them up. Yes, you see, this is coming up very easily. Not a problem. Grab the plant and pull it out. Bam, bam, bam. And there we go. There's the first one out. As I said, this one, like the others that weren't doing very well, this is what they were looking like before I started planting them. It's starting to grow out, but this was in the absolute darkest corner, shrouded out by the fern and the Thuja occidentalis brabant there. And I could feel in the ground that there was a huge Thuja occidentalis root right next to this plant. Could have been causing some kind of conflict between the plants, because Thujas, they send out chemical warfare as well to try and stop other things from growing. But this will do fine in another area. So we'll take that away. And then we'll take the next root ball out here, and the others as well. And the last one is out, and they're very heavy with their root balls. So just on the side with those, and I can see at the same time, it has shown me there are huge aspen roots here. That's why I saw aspen shoots coming up. And this long root from the aspen tree behind the annex is really not something I want here, creating a palaver. Look at that. That is an aspen tree root. That's where the shoot was coming up from. Aspen trees, they send out so many suckers that grow up everywhere and repopulise an area in no time. So if I didn't go around and have to cut my grass or anything like that, these would be all over the place. I know that because I can see it in the field in front of me. So all the plants that I wanted to take out of these borders have been taken out, and I still have my back foundation plants in place. So now it's all about just filling up with soil. I really want to raise them quite a lot. So it's probably going to take around 4 sacks of soil to fill out the borders. And then I'll place the stones back in place, and then I can start planting out all of my new cuttings, and I'll be done with this for now until I get my new plants that I want to plant in here. It's just going to be fantastic. So now my soil is in place, and now I just want to rearrange all of my rocks, starting with putting the big rock I said that I want to have at the front from the centre that I had before, right at the front, where I'll be able to see and enjoy the elevation of it. Oh, they are just so heavy, but look at this, quickly in place. And now I can carry on doing the same with both borders. So now the edge of my border is completely back in place with all my lovely rocks, and it looks fantastic. I have my new soil in, and I've actually, while my battery on my camera ran out and had to charge again, I've been in, put the border in place, and I've sprayed off the rocks, and I've watered in the soil so that it is settled. And now I'm ready to get all of my cuttings here and place them in the border just like this. Now this is the one I showed you earlier where I scored up the bottom, and I just need to place it in, and there you go. I have an instant effect. So I'm going to carry on with that all the way around these borders and just show you the end result. And to do this, I'm going to use my stool to make life a little bit easier for me as I work. So there we go. I've managed to get quite a lot of these cuttings in the one border here, and it's already looking so good. So I'm going to carry on with all of this, and then I will be back in a moment. So here we go. This is the right hand border. And now you can see I have plenty of space to plant in some lovely perennial plants behind this evergreen mini hedge of Buxus sempervirens behind my lovely rocks here. This has just worked out so well and has given me an instant hedge effect. All this created from 2 balls in this border. It just looks fantastic. And then the border on the right hand side of the door, same thing. A lovely instant miniature hedge and space in the border for perennial plants later on. The lovely ferns, the lovely cherry laurel in the middle, and lots of space to plant out. So they both look fabulous. So there we have it. I am sitting here right where I started at the beginning of my video, and I have created a fantastic transformation of my borders here that I am really happy and excited about, because I know I'll get to see these plants all winter long, and I know the deer are not going to browse on any of these plants as they walk by searching for any morsel that they can chomp down. So this is just absolutely fantastic. You can hardly see I've worked here today. Again, from your perspective, it looks near enough the same. I've got my same beautiful ferns here, my cherry laurel bushes. I've still got my boxwoods here, and the only thing that's disappeared is the grassy weeds and the Hauchera paris. So this is just one of my many projects I have to do today. Finished, I'm really pleased about that. Now I have so many plants to go and plant out in other areas of my garden, and I have many, many more stems left to plant out in other areas. These were just some of them. I had many, many more. So that's really good. So I need to find somewhere else that I need another little boxwood hedge to grow, and I'm sure I'll find somewhere very easily. In fact, I'm thinking about Yorkim's Corner already because I have an idea of putting them out there. So the bare soil, that just makes me so excited, because now I know I have space to plant out my Helleborus and maybe other perennial plants that I want to put in here. And once all these ferns die down, well, it's still going to be lovely and green. And I also want to get some bulbs to put in here as well to give me early spring interest. So that will be really, really nice. So I hope this has inspired you, and I hope you've enjoyed seeing this video. I am really pleased with the outcome. So now I just need to get on with the rest of my work because I have a lot more to do. all of the fronds from the ferns I will be chopping up and placing around the top of the borders here now. I will get some leaf mould and place that around on the top of the soil as well to keep the moisture in. And I'm not worried if young fern plants come up. I can easily take those up and move them into my woodland area, because it's inevitable that there will be lots of those coming up anyway. So all I have to say now is thank you very much once again for watching this video. Please remember to like, subscribe and hit the bell so you know when my next video will be coming up, and I will see you again very, very soon. Goodbye.